Warm welcome to today's session with M.K. Raina on his book, or memoir rather, Before I Forget. M.K. Raina needs no introduction whatsoever. He's a luminary of Indian theatre and cinema. But as a foreword to the session, I would just like to say that his memoir is no ordinary autobiography. In fact, it is a vivid whirlwind journey through India, through its multi-layered socio-political spaces. So I promise you this is going to be an unforgettable session. So welcome, Raina Saab. Such a pleasure to have you here with us. And as you can see, we have a full house for the session. So without further ado, with your permission, shall we dive into the
Please
conversation? Yeah. So Raina Saab, let me start with an icebreaker of a question. Tell us a little about the inspiration behind your autobiography, you know, the personal or creative triggers that made you pen this memoir.
Hello? Hello? Clear out. Listen, I meet hundreds of people, whether I'm directing or I'm acting. I meet film people, authors. My world is that. I used to relate some of my stories and my experiences when I go across country. And many times my friends will tell me, Raina, you write it. So where's the time to write it? And I'm not a writer, I don't write it. Then it came to points when there were few incidents which were almost life-threatening incidents for me. And I escaped it somehow. And then came COVID. And my whole work stopped, my travel stopped, everything stopped. For 1 month I was doing nothing, reading a book. How many books can you read? I remember I got really suffocated because I felt I was imprisoned in my own house. I'm a domestic help and he has 2 tiny little children with me. I would play with them and I saw them like little pigeons in the home. One day I took my car out, I brought these kids in it, gave them 2 Coca-Cola bottles, and I drove for 2 hours. Empty streets, nothing on the roads. Just I wanted to breathe maybe. When I came back after 2 hours and I sat and everybody was like, where were you? I said, no, I just wanted to go around. And next morning I got up, I said, I have time. I should put my thoughts together now. Because there's a reason. I think everybody in today's India must write his history. We're at the dangerous stage, which is the futile stage, we are at the frustrating state. Our freedoms are being curtailed. Our many things are you cannot do, you cannot perform. You have 4 police officers to go before I apply for my play to be done. Therefore, I think these times are very crucial for us if we have to defend our own democracy. That was my reason to write this book, so that I tell them, if I can go through these things, anybody can go through these things. That was my reason.
So basically, we talk about Samudra Manthan. I think in your case, it was COVID Manthan, and it yielded this wonderful book, which really resonates with the reader at so many levels. It did for me. So let me, Raina Saab, take you back to the beginning of your book. You talk about a pre-conflict Kashmir. Yeah. You talk about how an idyllic place it was, you know, where there was no segregation along religious lines. You had mohallas where Hindu Muslims lived harmoniously. And so tell us a little about these cherished memories. You even talk about those secular spaces, you know, where you have a temple and you have a mosque and you have an asthan for Sufis. So tell us a little about these memories.
You see, in any Kashmiri village you go, or even in the city of Srinagar go, there is a temple, and a little bit away from there's a mosque, and there's a third space. It is a space we call asthan. Kashmiri is called asthan, but basically it's a space of the Sufis. And it intrigued me, this space, because a lot of us think, because when we sing those Sufi songs, wow, what a wonderful life, what lovely lives. If you go to periods in the medieval times what Sufis have gone through to be heretic, to question Islam, they were not only hanged, one case in Iraq was his skin was peeled off. They have stood for the freedom, which I think today needs to be talked about. And therefore, in Kashmir, you will see you want to worship, go to temple, you want to worship in namaz, do it, and lot of people will be at this space called Khanka. And that is where Hindus and Muslims, anybody can go, pray, sing, have little pot. And it is a space which I consider is really a free space, which still is there. And there are living Sufis even there, but they have a normal life. But they have their murshids and the peers, that is. And I have grown up in that space, not because, no, this is unity in strength, diversity, unity in diversity. It was normal. It was normal. Gani Chacha is my uncle. When my house caught fire, entire team of neighbors came around the city and our area, and people got on top of the buckets of water, because water is there. There are water bodies everywhere. There were 200 buckets passing on from 100. By the time I came back, ringing up the fire brigade to come, it was off. Now when you look at it, you scratch it a bit. Who were these people? How can I say they were not good people? How can you say... Or another thing that's very important, there's a saying in Kashmir, Hindus and Muslims' relationship is from birth to death. I'll give a practical example. It is practiced. It's not that it was written by some boss, some writer, some peer, or some leader, or some preacher. My mother died in 1919, the terrible circumstances. Who was the cremation man? A Muslim. When I had to go and immerse my ashes, because I had 90 minutes with me, because it was curfew after that. It was only 1.5 hours. We rushed to the river, and there was a poor fisherman for himself, for us, picking up some fish from the... One Muslim came out from the masjid, who had offered his namaz, and he said, he could see this, I had the earthen pot with me. He said, yes, come here, come, this way. And he shouted at this fisherman, come, sawab ka kaam karna, so punya ka kaam karna hai tumhe. And he comes, I am not I know no mantra. And there was my mother in my lap, in that earthen pot, my brother and we immersed these ashes and came back. And cousin of mine at the top is telling me, give him money. This boatman, you have to give him money. And he was, the way he said was, it has to be done. This is the Hindu tradition. And I took some 500 notes I had in my pocket. I said, and he looked at me and he said, for such kind of pious work, you don't deal in currency. I can't even translate what he said. I was stunned. And there was my cousin, again shouting at me, give it to me, it's very important. He thought that mythology, we have the Vaitarni kaise par karega meri maa, that kind of. Then I had to tell him, just shut up now. These was my traditions, and I was saying they are still there. I always say, despite 1 lakh people have died, they are widows, war widows, orphans, refugees, all kinds of things. I worked with them later. And I said, it's a beautiful huge pot of milk. It's pure milk, but there's some dust settled on it. Who is the person who will clean this dust? Milk will be again, it's fresh milk still. Things are still, but we don't have those people who can work from the grassroots to rebuild and tie these knots again, or polish these knots a bit.
Right. In fact, when you were talking, I was reminded of that very famous Farsi couplet, कि अगर कहीं जन्नत है तो यही है हमी अस्तो हमी अस्त. So, and that what you said in the true sense of the word.
See, that is, people think that couplet for Kashmir, that this is the paradise, if there is any paradise in the world is here, is not the paradise which we talk of Pahalgam, Gulmarg, and lakes and forests and lovely pine trees. They are everywhere. Karnataka has beautiful trees. It was this syncretic, I won't even call it, it was life.
Yes.
The way life should be. Like the forest is there. It has many varieties, many kind of species. So that was there. So that was the paradise which they were referring to.
In the true sense of the word, yes. So Raina Saab, now let's talk a little about your work. When I was reading your book, you were talking about the impact of the rich Kashmiri heritage on your work. Because you talk about how as a child you were exposed to the shadow theater technique when you watched this play called, I think, Akkanandan, you said, right? And then you worked with the Bhand Patra also, the local folklore theater tradition, I think. So tell us how this Kashmiri tradition has impacted your work. You are, of course, carrying forward this legacy very proudly, but if you could just tell us a little about that.
You see, before I answer that, I want to make a statement. My book is not only about Kashmir. It has a major part of Kashmir. It's about the rest, what is happening post-independent India, in Delhi, in other places. Right. The conflicts we have gone through, right up to Ayodhya. It's all about that. But what Kashmir has given me, I think, is that understanding and that impulse that you have to move in and walk in with them. You have to understand the compassion. You have to work with the compassion. And I cannot be taken by the rhetoric. I cannot be taken over by people talking about slogans. I look behind the curtain or under the layers what is happening. That's to me from Kashmir. And that is why, whether after 90s when I lost everything, home, everything there, after 10 years, I said, no, I can't leave my valley like that. I've done a lot of my work all over India. I've worked in 13, 14 languages. I've done cinema, all sorts of things. I should give back something. Can I do something? And then started my another life in Kashmir as not an outsider, but just as an. And it started from 2000 when things were very bad. People used to be in the homes by 4 o'clock. Diktats of the terrorists were that you cannot perform, you cannot sing. There were no marriage songs. This nobody talks about it. They talk it's only with the Mujahideen. The life has been turned upside down, up, as you see a tree being uprooted by a cyclone. And my step by step, not step by step, there's a saying in Kashmir which is I love that. My mother used to tell me always, you should have a capacity to enter anywhere you feel you want to go in through the needle hole. And when you come out, you should be able to come out of the elephant's gate. I entered the needle, elephant not yet come, but yes. It was in work, almost silence. Nobody knows we are working here. I had 30 boys and girls with me. Behind a mountain, there was a little hostel which my friends managed for me. And they had to be with me living for 30 days. When we used the therapy, first I had to do therapy for them. And I remember when we did one session, we were singing a Sufi song. And they went on for 2 hours singing the same song, and tears coming down there. And I realized that catharsis has happened. Now I can use, theater is not only delivery, dialogue, and it is psychological, psychotherapy. It should be my therapy first. I was perhaps healing myself, and my healing was helping them to heal themselves. And then we started gradually performing little stories. By 12 in the afternoon show, by 1:30 over. Everybody must reach home. It was a normal life. And whenever you go to Kashmir, it is never a normal day for me, ever, for anybody for that matter. Then I created via this, to cut the whole story, 300 youngsters in theater. They went to villages back. They have started creating their groups. Now they want me to, I get every day, I'm doing this festival, I'm doing this festival. Because I had told them that you have to go into villages, not in the city. It will not help us. Then I moved, 2 areas I moved. One was, I worked with the Bhand Patra, because Bhand Patra is like Yakshagana here. They're great forms. Our tragedies, we have just left them in the wings. It is, these are the diamonds of Indian cultural performing traditions. Indian nation is the only nation in the country, according to me, which has every national school of drama in every region. There's methodology, music training, acting training, costume training, uh, improvisation, what we do in experimental theater. But what is important is that the themes they have led so far are not the themes that the world has changed. Can we now employ our genius, our ideas, to use that form, work with those actors, learn from them? I don't think I learned anything at drama school which they taught me. They taught me life, what it is all about. And then we started creating play after play. And while people were getting killed, we were also performing the open air. People will be on the mountain or a hill, we'll be down performing. During day, no lights. It is a different kind of theater. And till we reached a stage and I realized the greatness of these actors, I could venture to use, after 5 years, to do Shakespeare with them. And I did King Lear with them. That's a different story. That's in the book, how we reached to that stage to do King Lear with them.
Right.
So one thing comes that we have the strength of our folklore, folk traditions is as great as any modern writer can tell you. I mean, I see them, their absurdism in them, I see existentialism in their work. I see all kinds of things in the work, but it is if I have an eye and an ear to locate that, to locate in the tradition the seeds of modernity.
Right. Wonderful. So, Raina sir, while I was reading your book, and of course, while you were talking now,
Hold it right. Hold it like this.
So when I heard you talking now, and while I was reading your book, I realized that you seem to believe that theater contributes to healing. That is what you were talking about just now. And of course, to fostering dialogue also. And you talked about these workshops that you held for little children, who had lost their fathers to militancy. And you talked about how you had these workshops where Hindu, Muslim children came together, to foster dialogue. You talk about Noor. So tell us about that a little bit.
You see, one leads into the other. You don't decide it. Improvisation, somebody nudges, well, go and see that film. It's a very good film. In the midst of what was happening, the mess was happening, I got a call from my daughter. She was doing an undergraduation in psychology. Baba, I want to come and work in the children there, on the poor children. I have my thesis, etc. I said, are you crazy coming here? And she said, why? You say in every phone call that everything's fine here. I can come. I held my breath. I said, was I lying to her or what? I said, okay, give me a few days. I talked to some of my friends. First, I talked to my driver who was taking me around, who said, I asked her, she wants to come here, yaar, what should I do? She said, why? Let her come, I'll be with her, you do your work. It is as natural as that. I said, why are you bothered? No, she will come. I will send another driver to you, they will go with you. Exactly that happened. She came and she used to come in the evening, workshops. She used to do her own work in the municipal school, poor schools, in downtown, which was a dangerous area. In local, we call it a Pakistani. That kind of thing. And she'll come in the evening. She was never happy. She was making her notes, etc. And one day she was very upset. And she told me the stories of the children. She said, there is no self-expression. They don't talk. They don't want to talk. The problem of the children is going to be disaster for this valley. And then I was listening to her. She talked very concerned for half an hour. I asked myself, I said, what am I doing, M. Raina? You're doing theater here through theater. We should do something for children now. And then my friends who were my brothers, we were working together. They said there is a group of children who have seen their father being shot by a terrorist, eyewitness. This whole group of people. And it's a brutal sight. And both who are in the camps and here. I said, let's get them together. to cut the story short, we got them together. Nobody was talking to anybody. They never knew each other. They didn't know how to. And I was looking at them. I have this little method of mine, and I have all the pictures of the children. Every time I have in my room. And I looked at everybody's progress, what is happening. And one girl, Noor, will faint thrice a day. Then depression, crying. Another, Sultana, same thing. She was in the best school. Father died. She had to go to municipal. She wants to become a doctor. Why should I be in a school like this? Why? And it was torn souls, torn. Really, children with broken wings, like that. And all our theatre training, which we do at Nurses Club Drama, or I learned here and there, had to be packed. We started playing with them. Through playing, I did some, that's a long story, that you read the book. One example, I made a tree on white sheet and outline. I gave them, I wanted dialogue. So I gave to them, I said, what is it? It's a tree. What tree is this? Each one said different tree. I said, can you make it? Here are the crayons for you. And to my surprise and shock, 95% of the Muslim made tree just green, nothing on it. And one made magenta color, and Kashmiri Pandits who had never been there, they made trees with fruits, which was surprising. Then that started the dialogue. And we did a play from there to home to burst. Why are not you using other colors? Why are you thinking monochrome color only? Each one only same color. They were psychological. I had a psychologist, I had a child psychologist who would sit in the night. And finally, after 15th day, 12th day, when they reached point where they can make their stories, and then I told them, you have to make a play out of it. Then no, it is enough, you have to do too much work for us. They were rehearsing this play and threw me out of the classroom. No, you disturb us, you get out. I said, we have got it. They are now doing all what they want to do. And that was my point. And for that, I could not keep them in Kashmir to do this exercise. I had to take them to Jammu. I wanted them to feel what is a 24 hours a day means. They had never seen that. They were, after class, they will be 12 in the night, they'll be talking to each other, and they are not sleeping. I said, let them do what they want. Let them feel what is called the element of free. They can talk to me anything. And there were moments when they revolted, they came back, and then again I pushed them a little bit, till this performance was happening, and at that time some friends came to see it. They said, we can give you anything. I remember they became very emotional. One said, Raina Saab, if you want my blood, you take it. But don't go back to Delhi, stay here. And that was the biggest prize I could get. So we repeated that. Yeah, one thing, element. See, as I said, one reached the other. At every point, my friends were telling me, you're mad. Hindu and Muslim children together poison both sides. I said, no, it doesn't work that. And every time as we are coming closer to the date, then MK think about it. We are telling. When 3 days were left, I got a little cold feet. I said, maybe they have a point. I said, okay, can you get me some mothers? So what do you mean, mothers? I said, look, they are widows. Let them come. They will be my cushion. Where I fail, they will help me. I'll show you that. And that exactly happened. We had those ladies there. Raina Saab, what should we do? I said, relax. You want to do anything, do whatever you want. They on the workshop. Suddenly they will burst into singing and everybody will sing. It was not a workshop which you can say, okay, this is my syllabus, this is my goal, this I have to achieve. It was not like it. It was undulating, all going back and forth till they achieved what I wanted them to do.
And Raina Saab, another thing that I have noticed is that you have this penchant for diving into volatile situations. You have a penchant for diving into volatile situations.
Bad luck.
Yes. So I remember you talk about how you tried to get hold of the banned Pindranwale tapes when Punjab was at the height of militancy, and you were doing your workshops in Kashmir without any security. And then he went to Manipur also and troubled Manipur, where he did a lot of workshops. So were you not scared, sir? I mean, and what about your family members? Were they not
You
worried
see,
sick?
when my horoscope must have been written when I was born in Kashmir, we write horoscopes, long horoscopes. I think there was this already written that I'll be working I will be there when something will happen. And I cannot avoid it. This happened, every time this happened. About talking about the Bindramala thing, there was this project of making a film post 1984. So we went as volunteers to do the workshop. Somebody said there were tapes of Bindramala which are banned now, and we need that for this film. And the Said Mirzabad, I said, if there were tapes, we'll get it for you. I don't know where I'll get them from. We reached Amritsar. We heard they were being sold there outside Golden Temple. So I went to this fellow who was dealing little bit of shop of radio and recorded as a Punjabi mein. Oh yeah, Sant ji da tape मैंने की बोलता यार नहीं no. मैं कहा हैंगे क्या तेरे पास मतलब do you have them? I used to have them. No. नहीं एक डिब्बा है क्या ऐसे नहीं है मतलब एक डब्बा है there is one but it's not here. I said I want it. No. I said I'll give you money. He said but you will return back after making copies. So we waited there for 1 hour till the tapes came, and it was a summer, hot summer. I had already acquired some photographs from a photographer next door who was commissioned by the army that time, post Blue Star, to take some photographs of dead bodies and other things. He had given me the copies. I didn't have a bag. I had that canvas hat. I put them in my hat. Now I'm here with those photographs, and he's with tape. Me and my friend mother said, "Chalo ji kalte hain." The moment auto, we get onto the auto. After 1 kilometer, 2 policemen sit in the auto. I'm looking at my friend. What do we do? I think they were, already they had eye on us, because it was horrible that time. Nobody, it was present, omnipresent everywhere. And I was up. I said, I'll throw it. What the hell? I said, I don't want to throw it. Then I have these photographs in my hand. I thought, shit, what do we do? And half an hour, my friend Madan is looking at me, I am looking at him. We don't know what to do. And what they are talking, we don't know what they are talking with the driver. But luckily, after 10 kilometers, scooter stopped before police station. I said, we had it. We are going to be taken in. But policeman came. He says, Changaji, bye-bye. I rushed out. So these things happen, many things happen. And, then the stories and stories and stories. It is all about that. It's all about my journeys. But those journeys, we shaped and made my belief more stronger.
So, Raina Saab, some parts of your book are very heart-wrenching, where you talk about personal losses, loss of your mother and loss of your home. So, with all these traumatic incidents, you would normally react with some kind of bitterness. But your narrative is completely without any kind of bitterness. So I'm curious to know, how did you recover from that trauma? How did you heal? And more importantly, how did you maintain your sensitivity, your equanimity, your humanity in the face of all these testing circumstances?
That is Kashmir.
Yes.
That's what I've been made of. I won't say there was some training, I did this because of that. It comes naturally. But yes, when I left Kashmir, after my mother, I had to take my father with me. After some time, I think it was the last thing. I can't go back. And it took me many, many years when I will return. But the fact is that You see, I cannot be, as I said in the beginning, I cannot be taken by somebody telling me something. I mean, there are truths and truths and truths. I always remember Bertolt Brecht's one line. It's a very interesting 4-line poem he wrote. We were sitting around a coffee table, stretched out on the table. One said, this is wrong with the world. Another said, this is wrong with the world. I said to myself, doubt. Whole thing starts, you doubt what leader tells you, what preacher tells you, what your teacher tells you, parents tell you. You investigate it. And that, if you have an attitude to look there, then you see that one person is not responsible for it. It's very easy to make any, and I don't take any blame on myself. It's not like that. I mean, for example, today what is happening in India, I should have no shame in telling what is that every masjid has a mandir in the region. And people have started believing it. It's against the constitution. Still the judge in Uttar Pradesh gives a big preaching lecture on the mosques and the temples. I have to doubt. I have to investigate. I have to see it. What is it? Then you see a monster of a politics which will finish this nation in bits, like what happened to greater Yugoslavia. You remember? We forget it. I don't want at least to see India again become 400 states, which it was till 1947. Lakhs people have been sacrificed to make it one nation. And that is what is very important. I always tell my students when I teach them, don't trust me. I may be lying. Investigate. And there is not only one path to get on the top of the mountain. There are 1,000,000 watts to go on. So that is it.
But Raina Saab, I must emphasize that you've been so strong and resilient in the face of so many odds. And in fact, you've tried to make the world a better place, more harmonious, more secular, more culturally active, So we would like to learn from you, and we would like to know what were the guiding principles of your life, very in brief, so that we learn from that.
Abhay. You know Abhay? This is not Congress I. You give to the world. You don't drag from the world. One. Second, there is a murti of Buddha, which is my inspiring murti, and I love that murti. He is in Padmasana, and he is meditating in high. One hand is in one mudra, and he is somewhere. You see that face, beautiful face, the sculptor who has made it. But his one right hand is touching earth. It's Bhumi Sparsh. Buddha might have reached where he reached. He did not leave his earth. He was mundane, working with the people in the earth. That is what should you keep in mind. I think that is the way only.
Amazing.
I see it for myself.
Yes, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for giving us an insight into your remarkable work, your remarkable life. But much though I would like to continue this conversation, I think we've run out of time. So I'll just wrap it up. And ladies and gentlemen in the audience, it's your turn now. Raina Saab would be happy to respond to any questions that you have.
Fire.
No, I mean, genuinely inspired by the way you take theatre. Like, just now you're talking about working with women or those children who had lost their parents. It's nice to know that, like, how we practice theatre as a safe space, a space of dialogue and community. I would like to personally ask, because you were also a veteran for so long, one incident which has changed certain perspectives. Because for me, doing theatre is like vipassana. It's always like being in conscious with thought and what is happening. So one moment where something changed in you, or one incident which you would always look back and think about, maybe.
You see, before Kashmir happened to me and to my state, Delhi was burnt. 3,000 people were killed or burnt alive, tires put around them. I think youngsters, you must read all this history, what contemporary India has been going through. And before my eyes, I saw it. The day, I was very near to the hospital where Mrs. Gandhi was being, she was declared dead from there. And I saw something there was happening. I saw one bus, a tiny little Sardarji in the bus being humiliated and knifed, brushed out. I said something is going to happen. And by evening, things started. Taxis burning very near to my house. I took the bicycle off my house, out and started running to all taxi stands. Those days we used to have taxi stands, and they were run all by 6. I said, put your taxis into the small lanes, they will burn it. And some 6 I had to bring. And we phoned each other. I phoned. Each one was supposed to 5 phones to 5 friends who have cars, and I would go run in the city, and where you find a sick, pick him up and keep on phoning 5 people to 5 people. It became a kind of chain. And all of us were almost night doing all this. And in the morning when I was running back home, I saw the disaster of the city. But the irony of it is, we came out for help, now rescue. 3rd day we came out, and 6 days of people giving donations, giving food, and for 3 months we were working. There were camps where I was working. And one instant in the camp, really, there was just elderly Sardar, tiny Sardar, with a child's underwear covering his long hair. And for me, it's called dastar in us. It's an honor. And I used to wash that for my uncle, because he used to love wearing. This was my duty in the clan. You will prepare it for him every day. I went and asked him, Darji, what is it? He looked at me and said, Izzat to bachani hai na. Honor has to be saved. Ki karega? And these incidents turned me completely upside down. I used to return at 2 in the morning from the camps. And many incidents, there are many, in the book there are some. And that really made me a human being, because one side I saw the dark violence, sick violence, and the other I saw hundreds of youngsters like you working with us, and 20 camps we were working on, sending food, begging people to give, and then people gave. And what happened, this incident is remarkable. When I went back, in the evening we used to have a meeting. What is going on? I said, we need turbans and shalwar and kameez. Nobody wears pants. People are sending pants. We put it on the notice board. That time there was no internet, etc. After 3 days, I get a call in the middle of the night by somebody in Punjabi accent. Are you Rana Sahab? Rana is Punjabi. I said, हाँ जी रहना हूँ मैं. I brought a truck of things you have wanted. I said, where are you? I said, what have you bought? He said, turbans. Because sir, मेरे सर ने कहा, turbans and shalwar kameez. I rushed to the Ames, which was very near to my house, and I saw a massive truck, not a small truck, massive truck with turbans. I said, where have you come from? I said, Punjab se, but आगे नहीं बताना. The owner and who had sent it told him, we will not reveal who you are, your name, my name, nothing. They call it Guptadan. You are not supposed to declare. And he said, I am at your service as long as you want me. Don't bother about my food. He's a driver telling you, not about my food, and don't bother about petrol. That I have to take care of. You make me to work. And that little turban did, that Sardarji. And this is what I am searching for. Where are they? India is filled with these people. There are people with people. And you have to find your own moment. And you'll find it one day. Yeah.
Any other questions? We have time for one more question. Yes, of course, please.
We've grown in our youth. Sir and his brother were absolutely inspirational, and I think I must appreciate that we have such legitimate people, rational voices, which are still there in India, and that is what is keeping us going and keeping us alive. And we need more, sir. I think all your all the kids who train under you, all the lives you inspire. I think these are the ones who are finally going to take India forward somewhere.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
There are lot of them are there. To youngsters, I say, remember Sting singing song, come on, rise up for your rights.
So I
Don't
think
give up the fight.
I think we've run out of time, but thank you for being such a wonderful audience. And please give it up for MK Raina.